Morning everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm doing a walk in Leeds this morning. I had planned to start my walk today at Woodlesford Lock and set off walking towards Leeds. I don't think I was going to make it all the way. I was going to do it in probably 2 stages, but I couldn't get parked, couldn't find my way down to the lock because the road seemed to be blocked in both directions. They're building some luxury houses down there and it was all pretty chaotic. So I've come a little bit further east and I've parked in an area that we've been to before, although I've not actually followed this path. Parked near Swillington Ings on the opposite bank of the river to the Ings and to St Aidan's RSPB reserve. So I think it's probably about 20 minutes walk from here to Woodlesford. Last time I came down here I walked through that nature reserve there from the Aire and Calder navigation canal, which is at the other side of that hill. This is the River Aire at this side. But when I got out of the car I saw a sign that said Leeds Country Way, which I'm also in the process of doing. But this section doesn't count. This will probably be just about the last section that I do, because I'm a couple of miles from here and you'd be at Garforth, which is where I actually started from. So as I say, the plan today is to probably walk about halfway from Woodlesford to Leeds on the riverbank and then come back another day and complete the walk. I forgot to say that it's mid-March now and the weather, as the forecasters predicted, has warmed up. It was like 6 or 7 last week, but we're up to 14, 15 degrees now. It's very still today, no wind. Same yesterday, so it's actually quite pleasant. I'm beginning to feel a lot like spring. The path here seems to fork. That's the way I went last time. It's a nature reserve, I think, owned by Yorkshire Wildlife Trust. I think it's a big meadow. I think it's reclaimed land from industry. But the path went left into there. I've carried along Leeds Country Way. Maybe I should have gone that way, I'm not sure. This path is terrible, so muddy. Why is it when there's a 50-50 choice to make? One path, green, grass, dry. Takes you to a gravelled canal towpath. The other one, like this. Why do I always choose this one? Roll on the nicer, warmer, drier days. Apparently, as I walk around the entirety of Minorca in Spain, now I know they get bad weather there too, but it can't be anything like the winter that we've just had for rain and mud. So if I forget, next winter feel free to remind me that I said I was going to go to Minorca for 3 weeks. Gas pipeline there. I'm trying this way because that way is obviously the path to Garforth, which takes me away from the Aire and Calder Canal, which I probably should have just walked down in the first place. I mean, all of this land actually floods and will have flooded over the winter, so I suppose this is to be expected. I was just reading there's a park in New York called Roundtree Park. Never been, but that's just reopened after being shut for absolutely ages due to the paths being flooded. Oh, cool. It looks as if there's a path back onto the canal towpath here. And that was, well, I walked around the edge of it. That's the nature reserve. There we go, that's the path I was after. All of them. This is where I've come from. So we're back on the path to Leeds. as is usually the case, everybody else seemed to find the way to this car park, except me. Anyway, here we are, Woodlesford Lock. Five miles from Leeds. It's really interesting along here though, because it's not a river, so presumably it doesn't flood, yet it's got this boggy area at each side. It's lovely, signs of spring everywhere. So the Aire and Calder navigation runs alongside here. At this point the River Aire runs alongside the, I think it's the Leeds to Sheffield Railway. We've walked along the Aire and Calder before. It's called the Aire and Calder because it was built in the 18th century maybe, and it was built to help boats navigate around unnavigable parts of the River Aire and the River Calder, so that boats could get up to Wakefield and up to Leeds. So in places it's not there, boats use the rivers, but in other places the canal's there and boats use the canal. Predominantly these days it's only used by pleasure boats, which does that make us a bit unusual in Europe, because they still transport a lot of goods by river and we barely transport any, if any at all. I originally did this walk as a podcast about 3 years ago, and I somehow managed to lose the podcast completely. So it's nice to revisit it. It's an interesting walk. Last time I did the whole thing to Leeds in one go and caught the train back. Not sure if it's because I've got a bit older or we're just coming out of the winter, but not sure if I've got that in me today. So I've got a little plan to do it in 2 halves, which I'll explain to you later. So the railway's up there somewhere. That seems to be behind that bank. Sort of out of Woodlesford now, heading towards Leeds. Lovely tree there. I've just seen people walking up to this, looks like an old railway bridge, but I'm just wondering if you can go back to Woodlesford down the other bank. Oh yeah, I know where I am now. This is as far as I'm going on the riverbank today. So I've turned away from the Aire and Calder as a new footpath. Wasn't here, and a long time ago I'm going to cross over the river via this new footbridge. That's made my mind up for me. This is where I'm heading today. We just about reached the A1 M1 link road. The motorway services is in an area, I think it used to be known by a few names. One of them was the Blue Lagoon. Nothing blue about it. There was a series of lakes that I don't know whether they were the lakes where they dug the coal out of. As kids we always thought they were slurry pits filled with dangerous chemicals and mud that would trap you and drag you down. Anyhow, this is the lake. And I wanted to do a quick loop around the lake, and if I did, it would make the walk to Leeds quite a long one. So I thought I'd do a loop, head back, And next time there's a park and ride bus service not far from the motorway services. So I thought I'd come there, then walk down this path, which would take me back onto the Aire and Calder, and then finish the walk into Leeds, and then come back from Leeds on the bus. The motorway is just there, as you can see. I've only been here once before, and I never noticed. It looks as if there's cormorants nesting on that island. So that's the plan. Once round the lake, back down to Woodlesford, and then to be continued next week. As I say, I've explored this area all my life. As teenagers, we'd come down here on our bicycles, and you had to lift your bicycle over the gate, and it was just coming to the end of its life, I think, as open cast mines. Maybe there were some still operating, but we used to have hours of fun. And then in later teens, I got motorbikes. They had to be awkwardly leant under the gate. And then the development kind of started, because it all got landscaped, but there was no parking. So I used to walk here with my dogs and walk around this lake. And then, below me, there's factories, motorway services, and the latest thing is hundreds, if not thousands, of houses. It seems to be a recurring theme that Leeds is expanding, and at a considerable pace along its eastern and southern flanks. This waterway, I believe, is, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it might act as the outlet from the sewage works for the clean water, possibly, or is it just simply the Whitebeck that's channeled into a concrete stream bed? As I remember, the Whitebeck, WYKE, I think it starts up near round here and works its way down through Leeds. And when the road at the end here wasn't a motorway or a link road into the city, it was just a rutted cart track that vehicles didn't travel down, and on there was a bridge that we called Red Walls, and that carried the bridge over the beck. So this is actually blocked off, but this looks very much like red walls. I'm a little confused, to be honest. But as you can see, the walls are red. I'm really confused. I've had a look on the map. This seems to be the road up to the sewage works, which is at the other side of the motorway. This looks just like red walls. Maybe there were two crossing points where where it crossed the stream. But I won't get distracted. Get back to my original plan. This going this way brings you out at the roundabout, I think, where the motorway services is. And I'll probably stop filming for a while because there's a lot of people. You know what? I've never gone into a motorway services. I've been on a hike before, so I'm going to avail myself of the facilities. So I went in the motorway services, used the facilities, and was going to get something to eat, but I couldn't find just a healthy sandwich. Everything was burritos and burgers and fish and chips, and it was all like 1,000 calories per sitting, and everything was about 10 quid. So I thought I'd have what I've brought with me, which isn't a lot, but I'm supposed to be on a diet. So bon appetit to me. I'm heading round the northern side of the lake now and head back down to the river and then back to Woodlesford. Apart from this lake and its immediate surroundings, this entire river valley now on this side is getting developed. There you go, folks. Is it called Skelton Lakes? I think part of a network that have been introducing you to of wetlands that run all the way from Leeds all the way down the Aire Valley. Fantastic habitat for wildlife. So just to give you a timeline, I suppose, of this area, and if I'm wrong, anybody wants to correct me, but say 100 years ago, this would have been river valley, farms, cottages, little lanes, fields, hedges. Then along came, maybe more than 100 years ago, then along came coal mining, And the valley was dug and destroyed and plundered for its black gold that it contained, and then they left, and the people came in to reclaim it and build hills and build little lakes, and then they left it. And then, of course, who gets it? The developers, the money people, and they finished the destruction that the coal miners started. But thankfully, there are areas like this for nature to keep its foothold, as it were. Got all the geese. I think the RSPB have some involvement in this lake. I don't think it's a reserve as such, I'm not sure. But I've seen an RSPB sign up. It's alright. It's alright. No. I seem to be making a bit of a habit of that. I was going to state the obvious and say the river seems to be flowing fairly quickly. It's not really any wonder, is it? With all the rain that we've had, look at these ducks. Never seen ducks going so fast. They're making it. Footbridge there where we head back over the river. And I'm guessing that this is where the White Beck comes out and flows into the River Aire. The one that we followed behind the fence going up to the services. So I've just turned right, heading towards Leeds, just a little way. As I said earlier in the video, I wanted to check out this, looks like an old railway bridge, and see if I can get back to Woodlesford this way. So this is different. I came over the bridge and there was a path to the left, which was obviously the one that went back to the lock, and there was a path to the right, and the path to the right is now considerably higher than the Aire and Calder, and higher still than the River Aire, because this path seems to be following the railway. This is the banking that we could hear on the way out, but we couldn't see the trains, and the reason we couldn't see the trains is because the railway line's a little bit further over that way. Lincoln. Not sure what to mark it this video as. Nature, hiking, railways. It's got it all. I wonder if this was also a railway at some point. I don't think this is a public right of way. Looks like it's just access to the railway. That seems to be going back down. Oh no. This is lovely up here, and as we've talked about in other videos, this was part of the railway, and it was abandoned in the 60s maybe. The first species of tree to colonise it is the silver birch, a pioneer species, quite short-lived, but grabs a foothold and then allows other longer-lived trees to fill the gaps. So if you ever wondered if human beings left the island that we live on 50, 60 years, this is what it would look like, and 150 years after there'd be a forest of oak and beech and ash. I have no idea where I'm going, no idea at all. Except the railway, I think, is still somewhere on my right, so I'm heading towards Woodlesford railway station. This is great up here. This is fabulous here though. Why didn't anybody ever tell me about this? Now the footpath is beginning to look decidedly dodgy now. There was a path, there doesn't seem to be anymore. Oh yes, panicking over nothing. There is a path, takes me back down to the side of the canal, I think. Oh, well, that's worth knowing. If you want to avoid the crowds. There you go, look at that. You want to avoid the crowds. Cut up by the side of this little beck, just up there. And there's a beautiful, peaceful walk. I'm a bit disappointed. I thought we were going to go all the way to the railway station. Never mind. So this is following the same path as when we came out. So I'll leave it here till we get to the road. No, sorry. Ain't got no. Ain't got no. I've eaten it all. Didn't have a lot to start with, did I? Maybe I'll come here again. Which maybe isn't so likely. I'll have to remember. Some bread. Hey, stay there. Hey. Well, that was all a bit of a drama. I don't know, earlier on in the video there's 3 horses in a field. When I come back, one of them's not in the field. It's eating the grass in the car park. So I asked a fisherman, does he know there's a horse out? And he said, oh yeah, it's just kicked the fence out, down and come out. So it's been high drama for the last hour. Passersby have sort of kept it ushered in to the lock area. It didn't have any tackle on. There was nobody really who knew how to get it back in the field. So I rang the police, who were busy. But it all got a bit panicky because there's a very busy road. Well, you'll see no more than 150 metres away from where the horse was, and at one point it it looked like it was heading towards it. So I rang the police again, but fortunately before they got here the owner arrived and some very nice passersby and a nice workman and the owner managed to get it back in the field. And of course I never thought for 1 minute to video any of it. Anyway, I'm ready for my lunch and a cup of tea. So although there was no immediate danger to life or limb, apart from it falling in the canal, the big panic was it getting onto this road, because there certainly would have been a danger to life or limb. But anyway, all's well that ends well. So I'm on the last leg now, heading back to the little car park, and I'm going to stick to the towpath all the way. I've had far too much mud and far too much excitement for one afternoon. I thought at first, the first time I came down here, these were footbridges, but they're obviously not. They're for to carry the gas pipes over the river. This is a spoil heap from coal mining. I'm no geologist or chemist, but I think in the spoil there must be a high iron content. So as you can see, the water is running that rust colour. There's a naturally occurring spring like that at Temple Newsham. I hope I'll visit it in the spring. And there's another sort of runoff at Fairburn like that, which is also an old spoil heap. But anyway, enough of all that. I hope you've enjoyed today's walk. It's been rather an interesting and eventful. I don't do eventful anymore. It upsets the matrix. But I've got my steps in. Lost a little bit of weight this week. Didn't have that burrito at the motorway services that looked absolutely fantastic, but was absolutely massive. 1,000-1,200 calories, I think, in one burrito for lunch. That's not good, is it? So I've done well. A couple of pieces of fruit, 2 chocolate biscuits and a cup of tea. So I'll be home for a big pot of tea. But I'm rambling again. So thank you very much for watching. If you did watch, if you've any comments to make about the video or any of the events herein, then please leave them below. If you do like the video, I'm not sure why you would, but if you do, then press the like button, the thumbs up. It all helps. And if you like the channel at all, then please consider subscribing, because I think I mentioned it before, but I've double checked the figure, and it is 96% of people who watch the channel are subscribed, and there are thousands and thousands of people. So we'd hit that 1,000 subscribers mark in a few days if only half of the people who watch the channel subscribe. So anyway, it is free, and it'd be great to have you along on my later life adventures. But for now, I'm gonna say thanks again for watching, and I'm glad the horse got back in its field safe. I couldn't have left. Everybody kept saying, oh well, you can leave now, but I couldn't have left. So I'm glad it's back in its field. It was a lovely thing. So cheerio. And don't forget, there's part 2 of this adventure to come, probably next week when we finish the walk into Leeds. That'll be just a one-way walk and the bus back. But see you on the next little adventure, wherever and whatever that might be. Bye for now.